Does Georgia Tech pose any issues? 11-point favorite to Miami in Atlanta. Haynes King out the last two games. Georgia Tech has lost. He's supposed to be back for this one.
Yeah. This is the final revenge game from last year. And everything.
This is the ultimate. Well, Florida State, I guess, is always
right.
the ultimate, but
Miami won that game and got, the referee screwed them out of that because Donald Chaney was down by far. So yeah, and this is a physical team. They're diverse on offense. And, I think that Haynes King obviously is way better than Zach Pyron, who has played the last couple of games. So it's been 3 weeks since Haynes King played. He missed 2 games and they're coming off of a bye week, which, gives them extra time to dial up special offensive stuff that they haven't shown before. They got a nice linebacker in number 44 Efford, who's like that kid from Cal who was annoying all day at linebacker, number 0, Uluwave, and everything. So, I mean, he's limited physically, but he is instinctual as hell and makes lots of plays. They have a couple decent running backs. They got a couple nice receivers, including Malik Rutherford, who's from South Florida, another couple of guys who are from here and everything. And they've played generally disciplined football, not great, but this is, a team that could present issues. Again, I think that Miami is the better team. I think that Miami is going to win and cover. I saw it opened at 15. Or 13.5, depending on the book, because I looked at all of them. But, basically about a 2 touchdown kind of victory or more, I think, for Miami. But again, this comes down to Miami doing what Miami needs to do, stopping the run, finding ways to not get crossed up and just exposed on in passing defense where, it can't be every game where the offense dials up a rule breaker and they just have guys butt naked wide open doing cartwheels and backflips into the end zone. It can't be that. But yeah, this is a team that's definitely going to come out strong and motivated. They're coming off of a bye week. It is homecoming for Georgia Tech, and it is a special jersey game for them. So you take on all the stuff that you want to add on top, right, of last year's shenanigans, homecoming, special jersey, it's going to be their biggest recruit game of the year, or second next to Georgia, right? So a huge recruiting game for them. All these things, that's what it's going to be. But Miami's been up to the test so far this year, and I believe that they will be up to the test this week. Excuse me. Yeah, but I think a decent victory should be in line as long as Miami does what Miami needs to do, and the teams play towards their averages, even if they're in the, as long as you don't have Georgia Tech with a 99th percentile performance of what they're able to do, and Miami with a 10th percentile performance of what they're able to do, i.e. very, very, very low on the scale of what their output can be across the, entire game. I don't think Miami's going to lose. And again, I just think that objectively, I think they're the better team. They should be able to go in there. And as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot too much, penalties, turnovers, missed assignments, missed tackles, dropped balls, all things that we've seen in various measures throughout this year, as long as you don't just continue to pile those things on and inhibit yourself from doing what you do very well, which is the number one offense in the country. Miami's almost at 60% third down conversions. They're 5.5% higher or 4.5% higher than the next team. Actually, let me go get the actual numbers. CFB stats, please load for me. National third down conversions. Miami, 67 of 114, which is 58.77, so 58.8%. The next highest team is Oregon at 52.29 third down. Bro, I was right, 5.5% higher than the next highest team in third down conversions. So, I mean, I know that it was fun. We talked about that stat of Miami not having 3 and outs, going into last week's game. Miami had 3 and outs in the first half. Well, that's as many as they had the entire season leading into last week's game. So as long as you do what you do and you don't do the other stuff that you don't do in that kind of a measure, yeah, I am confident that Miami has a better team, that they should be able to go into Atlanta and win that game. I mean, is there a possibility of shenanigans? Clearly, we saw it last year, so I'm not going to say it's impossible. But yeah, objectively, I think that Miami has the better team. I think that they have better players in key positions, and they should be able to go and win that game.
There's no question Miami's the better team, but at 11 points, Vegas is giving, that's not a crazy point spread.
It's not a crazy point spread. And if I'm looking on SP Plus, they have going in Miami with the 86 projected % win probability before the game. That's like just short of 8 out of 9, probabilities if you're looking at all the things put together. So, I mean, that's
at some point in the season, common opponents start to become, I think, somewhat meaningful. And off the top of my head, Georgia Tech beat Duke by 10. Miami beat them by 22.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech lost to Louisville by 12. Miami, of course, won by 7.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two that come to. Georgia Tech lost to Virginia Tech by 15, minus Haynes King. Of course, Miami won that game by 4.
Mm-hmm. And also both teams beat Florida State, Georgia Tech by 3, and Miami by 22.
Yes. So I think that clearly shows that if you want to take those 4 games, and unlike what we're seeing in the chat right now, because I got to say, everybody, I'm seeing some transitive property arguments that are some of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life. So if you want to argue those, folks, please call Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. I'm live late after the games. Call me, bring me those transitive property. You can do anything with the transitive property. There were a couple years ago, Ohio State was in the top 5, and I showed how they had lost to Northern Arizona. So
the transitive property being like one team beat another team, and then the other team beat the other team. So then like A is greater than F because you can string those together, in case you're wondering what that is.
Yes. What I'm bringing to the forefront in this conversation with Cam about Georgia Tech Miami is resume, complete. Take one game and no.
Yeah.
Resume.
Yeah, no, resume across the board. And, Miami's built a great resume. Cam Ward, as I'm looking in the chat, is continuing to build his Heisman Trophy resume, potentially. I don't see there's any way that he's not a finalist at a minimum. He's just playing outstanding football. And, as long as we have him on the team, feel confident. He's, they're second in the country in passing, 31-46. He's leading the country in touchdowns, yards per game. I believe he is 3rd. Undefeated team playing in Miami, which like elevates everything. Like, we've seen guys put up crazy numbers at Arkansas State or Western Kentucky or Texas Tech, and like Cam Ward's doing it on prime time national television every week for the Miami Hurricanes. Like it hits a little bit different. So yeah, man, he's honestly elevated this team. I think that, I've seen people referencing other journalists and media people saying, oh yeah, Miami would be a 5-win team without Cam Ward. I don't believe that. Like clearly Miami would be playing differently if it were Emory Williams or whomever at quarterback. But like, I don't think it's immediately like you remove Cam Ward and then it's replaced with 0, which is like what I'm seeing people's logic being, which is incredibly flawed. But yeah, man, it's going to be, it's a great time to be a Miami Hurricane. It's always great to be a Miami Hurricane. And I'm just super excited because, this is the kind of season that we've seldom had. And look, I tried to enjoy the 2017 season when we did go 10-0 and everything, and personally sat in the front row of the Notre Dame game and dapped up Ed Reed while Trajan Bandy was taking that interception up the sideline, and he left the sideline interview he was doing with Maria Taylor to come literally dap up everybody in our front row that I was sitting with my boy Matt Washington. It was awesome. It was incredible. But that was still like, it didn't necessarily feel like this. And I'm really excited. This honestly, it takes me back to when I was an undergrad, and we lost the second game of my freshman year at Washington and didn't lose again until my senior year. And yeah, it's great to see. I love it. Getting Cam Ward was billed to be transformational. It has proven to be transformational for this team. And I, for one, will be tuned in at noon on Saturday to the game in Atlanta and every week thereafter. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. You guys should be too. And yeah, I know that, in the aftermath, we do Monday morning quarterback, and we do kind of poke holes in things and stress test things that need to get a little bit better, but also like, hey, let's give the flowers where they're due. Let's enjoy the highlights while we have them, because you and I and everybody watching and listening knows there have been plenty of times without these kind of highlights for the Miami Hurricanes. So I'm going to lean in and enjoy it while it's here.